Just to look back very quickly on the previous days of our meditations, our contemplations. We began on Sunday with this idea of a contracting cosmic cross, represented here in these four constellations. One can say that constellations, these four constellations, are a physical body as if of a very, very highly evolved spiritual beings, cherubim. In the past, people were able to see only four constellations, this archetypical cross of heaven. The cosmos was, one way to put it, was crucified, was hanging on the cross of these four constellation cherubs. With time, with the evolution, spiritual, physical evolution, it started contracting. We call this contraction the creation, with its various stages, and its most precious gift, the actual cosmos, macrocosmos incarnated, is the form of the human body. With its three crosses, the cross of the human body, the cross at which the axis of our eyes are crossing so that we can be conscious. So already in physiology it is being imprinted. If the axis of our eyes would not cross, we would never be able as human species to say I to ourselves. And then finally the cross of the human face, which so beautifully is also represented in on our altar painting here in North Hollywood. And then with the events of the 3 years of incarnation, events of Holy Week, all the way to the Friday of Holy Week, something of this cosmic human archetype of the cross is being imprinted on the etheric nature of the earth in this most representational landscape of the mystery of Golgotha, the three crosses on the hill. That was Sunday. Monday we spoke about the processes on the way of which that cosmic being, the Christ being, the human being, gradually through the aeons would assume the form through Adam, through different stages of evolution on earth. Through Noah, we spoke about Adamic humanity, which had very, very different form of the physical body that we have today. Noahidian humanity, and this new humanity that is now sprouting from within, the human form that is sprouting from within, out of those who live in communion with the mystery of Golgotha, with the Christ being, who take him into our thinking, our soul, all the way to our etheric and physical bodies. A new form is being generated out of this, which will take us to the next stage of this great cosmic evolution, which is called in the New Testament the New Jerusalem, the body of Christ, which will become kind of a new Noah's Ark, as if this time we're not going into the ark is generated from within our moral life. And then yesterday we spoke about how this again more and more crafted and carved into a specific stream of humanity, which in the Bible is being presented beginning with the story of Adam, Noah, particularly from Abraham. He's sending from the Mesopotamia. He's following the call, the new call, the voice of God that was not yet known to humanity, the voice of intuition, and his resistance against all odds and against his culture, against his inheritance, and probably even against his genetics, and as in a certain sense gift of that faithfulness of Abraham, He is the first human being in the stream of history whereby these spiritual fontanelles are actually closed. His etheric body is no longer connected with the spiritual world, but Abraham is the first one who is in possession of his brain as the instrument of consciousness. The father of nations, since Abraham, that possibility of using brain and nerve system as a tool of navigation through earth was given to human beings. Then his drama and story of his son Isaac, and this critical moment when Abraham feels that a certain sacrifice is necessary. Once again, he makes a radical leap of consciousness, unlike the ritual that was very widespread in the long periods of history of Mesopotamia and Babylonia. He doesn't kill his firstborn, which was a part of the religious rite of the Babylonians, but the sacrifice on Mount Moriah, the Isaac's sacrifice, is a spiritual sacrifice. So knowing that it's necessary to clear up, to distill this bloodstream, which is the vehicle of our soul, the vehicle of our culture, vehicle of our consciousness, vehicle of soul in me too, heartbeat, pulsation, emotions, that it's necessary to clear it from the residues of the old consciousness, pre-Abrahamic consciousness. The sacrifice of the lamb is necessary. This is what's happening on Mount Moriah. What it means, we spoke about it, that the last of the organs of perception of the spiritual world, which is known in the East as two-petal lotus flower, which in mythologies is always presented under the image of a ram or lamb, is being discontinued, sacrificed. Instead of Isaac losing his life, he renounces the ability to see, to be connected with the spiritual world. So the bloodstream can go from him, that will more and more pave the way for the Christ being, the highest God, who is longing for incarnation, in order that this incarnation, that this being of Christ can truly find rooting in the earth. Not only the body is necessary, particular form, but also the soul, particular consciousness is necessary, clear consciousness. We ended up with Jacob, the story, very dramatic. This is not just a progressive movement. Once something is initiated, this distilling, clarifying of the old, making space for something new is not so obvious. It's much more as a move step forward and step backwards. It's kind of also historically, also genealogically, due to the conflict with Esau, with Jacob's brother. Out of necessity, he actually has to go back to Mesopotamia, to Babylonia, where his grandfather Abraham was from. He has to make step backwards. And it's not only a physical or biographical step backwards, but also spiritually. And Jacob once again finds himself serving and dwelling in the circumstances and culture of Mesopotamia, almost as if discontinuing this generational epoch to bring about the body and right consciousness for the future. Yet such is the story of salvation, and such is the story of Christ's incarnation. It's not a direct, obvious process, and that's what we are trying to investigate here in this Holy Week. How complex, how incredible, how full of sacrifices, of blows of destiny, sudden crises, miracles, this process is, in which on one hand the body and consciousness is being built by human beings, and on every stage of that process the Christ being descends, nascens closer to earth.